Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome. This is the Windup, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly college baseball show. I am Chris Phillips. He is Harrison Fant. We are here talking the second weekend of conference play and here to eat a little crow as well. We got some things to own up to, some takes we had last week and over the last few weeks. I know many of you are excited to hear those. And again, we're excited to chat with you as we break down everything that happened over the weekend and look ahead to a jam-packed midweek slate. Guys, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast. Forget your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we are powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $200 in bonus bets today. Another electric weekend of conference play on the diamond is officially in the books. Some very loud weekends, notable results. And again, guys, we are here to break it all down, talk about it. And like I mentioned in the beginning, even eat a little crow for some of our takes and some of our predictions for what went down. Again, I am Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my good friend, co-host, and colleague, Harrison Fant. Harrison, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. I know many folks are looking forward to this show. You and I are as well, but people looking forward to this one for some different reasons and excited to do it with you.
Yeah, Chris, excited to talk college baseball, especially the SEC. And I mean, if the gauntlet of the SEC hasn't been on full display already, I think this weekend kind of proved it. But man, the talent's so deep across the board and electric weekend series. And, a lot of teams that continue to prove themselves and be ranked very highly, the SEC with, double-digit teams still ranked and, opportunities to have deep postseason runs with, talent across the board and the skill set and the coaches to do it, Chris. So we're excited. We know it's going to be a long season for the SEC.
Yeah, this is a league, Harrison, where you can be a pretty good club, but if you've got any sort of deficiencies or some things not figured out, or if you're banged up, like some teams we're going to talk about, you will get chewed up and spit out and eaten alive, if you will. So, yeah, it's to see what the league is doing, obviously, just through 2 weekends, but throughout this season. And I believe, Harrison, if my math serves me correctly, I know I mentioned this last week, we have officially reached the halfway point of the 2025 college baseball season, which, again, it brings a tear to my eye because it's like, where did the first half of the season go? But time does fly when you're having fun. And, we tell everybody all the time, I say it all the time, enjoy it while we have it on opening day, because you're going to blink and it's going to be April, and then you're going to blink and it's going to be conference tournament, and then we're off and running the road to Omaha. Again, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, guys. We will get to your questions, your comments, everything in between at the end of the show. But Harrison, let's start again. Everything that happened the second weekend of conference play, and we got to start what happened in Gainesville. The Georgia Bulldogs, I don't even know if the word loud begins to describe what Georgia did over the weekend, sweeping the Florida Gators, and it wasn't close. I mean, these were 3 dominating games, a dominating performance start to finish. Again, game 1 was close.
Game 1 was close, Chris.
Georgia is able to win that one
in the ninth.
Georgia, able to win that one in a slugfest, hit the big homer in the top of the ninth. Games 2 and 3, non-competitive. The Dogs' offense, they were described to me like a church league softball team, just absolutely raking. And the pitching stepped up in games 2 and 3. Brian Curley getting the start in game 2. He was fantastic. And Harrison, we have to start here because you and I both, especially you, but you and I both, we got to eat some crow here because you and I called for Florida to get the sweep. You and I both echoed. We thought they were the most overrated team in college baseball because what we had seen to that point from the pitching staff, which, listen, fairly, it's what we had seen to that point. The pitching staff, the starting rotation had not been very good. Georgia silencing the critics, silencing the doubters, and certainly silencing us after an incredible weekend down in Gainesville.
Yeah, Chris, and, silencing the critics, especially me, is, been one of the biggest critics of the Georgia Bulldogs so far this season. A few weeks ago, I said I believe Georgia was the most overrated team, top team in the country. And based on how consistently, they've been playing the little they played at and the struggles they had on the starting pitching side, the Dogs had to fight back every single game against a lot of mediocre competition. as Georgia would view them as well. And the offense proved to be legit all season long. We didn't have doubts about the offense, but it was a bigger, more explosive offense, 1-9 than we anticipated coming in. But we weren't ever really down on them throughout the season so far. And I gave them that credit, and I gave the bullpen credit for winning every single game and holding the line every single game, carrying the pitching staff, specifically the starters, with how much they struggled. But I thought they'd run into a lot of trouble in the SEC versus, elite teams in the SEC that they have. I mean, it's the deepest conference of college baseball, and especially versus Florida. Kentucky, I picked Georgia to beat Kentucky. I thought it was going to be scrappy, but I thought Kentucky would not be able to keep up bat-wise at all with Georgia. But against Florida, I thought they'd slip up just with how elite we've seen Florida's pitching staff and the starting rotation that they've had, even though they've been battling some injuries on both sides of the ball, specifically pitching. But thought they would struggle versus some elite teams. And the offensive explosion we knew was going to be there, but it was even louder than we thought, Chris. And I mean, it was, like you said, I don't think dominant was the right word, or it gives enough credit to Georgia this week and what they did down in Gainesville on the road. I mean,
against a desperate Florida team that came in 0-3 in conference play, right? I mean, this is
after playing the number one Tennessee Volunteers at Tennessee. So with a grain of salt, obviously going into the week, but based on what they showed us pre-SEC play, all the trends led that way, that they were going to get exposed, with the pitching staff, the bullpen having to carry as much weight as they did, and the starting pitching staff and no one really able to step up and give them length. I was clearly wrong about that as the Georgia Bulldogs swept a top-ranked Florida Gators, who are now not ranked, Chris. 0-6. They're 0-6 in SEC play, not ranked. They did it in Gainesville, Chris. Not dominant, but dismantling them in games 2 and 3. The offense, 0 drop-off from there, and the pitching staff. Georgia proved to me that they're a legitimate Omaha team when they get good starting pitching and that they can hang and slug it with and better than anyone in the country. And they earned a lot of respect from me this past weekend. Enjoy, Georgia fans. It's weird that no one knew there were this many Georgia fans that were, baseball fans specifically, coming out in the woods everywhere. But that's usually what happens when teams get really good. And Georgia obviously being the most expected team, I feel like, to do that in the SEC. But, I mean, a very, very talented team, 1-9 on the roster, on the offense, obviously. The pitching staff really stepped up. Leighton Finley absolutely, shoved and gave them length. Wes Johnson was really impressed with him. Brian Curley, I said to one of y'all, you were Jake, that Brian Curley needed to start. Because I think he has the stuff to start, and he can give you length and shows that he has put away stuff and puts guys away. We've seen it, right? And they had that, and they did that against a very talented Florida team, which outside of getting one, about a comeback win, unbelievable comeback win, but I was really impressed with just the starting pitching staff to be able to hold a 1-9. We said slug can slug with any one team in the Florida Gators at bay, 2.5 games. Really impressed with that. I mean, it's great to see that, Georgia fans are passionate about baseball now, because the more fans, the more eyes in the SEC and college baseball, the better, that's for sure. And Georgia definitely proved me wrong this weekend. And, I'll stand by it. I'll wear it. But, I was impressed with them this weekend, of course.
Yeah, to say Georgia was impressive, Harrison, is an understatement. I'm gonna go here because we're here to eat crow. I'm here to eat crow. It was funny. You caught all the hell, and you're probably gonna catch hell. Let's just call it for what it is, Harrison. You're probably gonna catch hell from Georgia people all season. It's totally fine.
And then when they lose one series, Chris, they're gonna say it's a fluke. It's one weekend.
Yeah, if we catch hell all the way to Omaha, hey, we'll see you there. We'll hang out with you. It'll be a good time. I told a couple of Georgia buddies I would do this, so I'm going to flash this on screen because, Harrison, them dogs is hell, and them dogs were hell this weekend in Gainesville. This is a real Omaha team. If they're able to get competent starting pitching, they swing it like Tennessee. I said that
Absolutely.
for weeks. The only thing that concerned me was the starting pitching. If they get competent starting pitching, the bullpen has obviously been their saving grace. Wes Johnson, something clicked to where, and maybe it is on Friday night, he goes out there, delivers a message to his guy on the bump, hey, get the job done. Like, figure it out. Let's go. That obviously lit a fire under him, and I thought it lit a fire into the entire staff over the entire weekend. So, yeah, this Georgia team, again, I tipped my cap. I was dead wrong about the dogs. I thought the pitching would get exposed and knew the hitting was there. But to that level, especially against, yes, a banged-up Florida staff, but still a Florida staff with tons of talent. What they did to a guy like an Aiden King, who had been fantastic to this point. Again, dismantling is the right word. Georgia, I think the biggest winners of the weekend, arguably. I don't think it's arguably. I think they are the biggest winners of the weekend because of the way they did it, putting really the entire SEC and all of college baseball on high notice. Again, you get that level of pitching, this is an Omaha club. It's got Omaha written all over it. They will go back to Omaha first time since 2008, and Georgia's a real player to win the SEC.
Absolutely, Chris. And I want to say this. I never had doubts in Wes Johnson. I know how phenomenal of a pitching coach he is, and he's proven himself as a head coach, but I never had doubts in him. Obviously, he's a pitching guy. That's his bread and butter. He's a pitching coach at LSU, obviously. But it was just, how are they going to figure it out? And I was really curious the way he was kind of just doing it as long as they did throughout the season, with just openers and 1-1-1. I know Georgia fans are going to say, battling injuries, guys are coming back from injury, whatnot. But yeah, he's an elite pitching coach. Elite recruiter, relentless recruiter in the portal, obviously. And it just felt like no one could step up at the time. And it was like, how does anyone take away your SEC, Georgia fan bias people, right? How does anyone see that staff was going to be able to step up and do it against a lineup like Florida, right? But Chris, dismantling the offensive side, what I said, the biggest thing for me, like I said, it was 1 through 9, but it was everyone in Georgia's offense can hit a fastball and hit an off speed. But I think Florida kind of exposed themselves because, in a way, they didn't get away with anything. Like every single cement mixer, backed up, get me over curveball was absolutely hammered. And a lot of Georgia guys, specifically, Rylan Zaborowski, to name one, obviously, and you can name the whole lineup. You can go Robbie Burnett, Christian Adams, Devin Obrey, Brennan Hudson, first hit, home run. Par for the course, right? Colby Branch. Everyone in the lineup had, absolutely just loud at bats. It felt like every single at bat in every single game. And not everyone on Georgia can hit a fastball over the zone. Even when they were on the outer half of the zone, they hit in a lot of even or plus counts when they were getting fastballs, in the zone, or they're getting, get me over curveball sliders that were in the zone that they were sitting on and saw them up. And guys said that they saw them up, they weren't going to get beat by them. And they absolutely just dismantled every pitch over the zone that they saw, it felt like.
Harrison, is this the best lineup in the SEC, Georgia?
I'm
ready. I'm ready to go there. I think it's the best lineup in the SEC. I think it's the best.
I'm going to say top 3. Georgia fans are going to hate that, obviously. I'm going to say top 3 just because, look at what Tennessee's doing still without Gavin Keelan.
I wish we got that matchup because I think Georgia could out-hit Tennessee. I really do.
Georgia's definitely hang with them.
We'll see. Everybody goes cold at some point, maybe, but they've got so many guys.
But
that
Chris,
they're not all going to go cold at once. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you got to think. It's a really veteran lineup for Georgia too. But Tennessee's lineup, Arkansas's lineup, surprisingly, right? Georgia's lineup, and then you have, who else? Drawing a blank.
LSU's lineup.
LSU's lineup's pretty good. They face a really good pitching staff in Texas. Texas's lineup's pretty good. But, top 5, I'd say. Top, 3 for sure, I think.
What they've been able to do losing Charlie Condon. I think to take a step forward offensively after losing the Golden Spikes winner is wildly impressive. That's
and they're a deeper lineup right now than they were last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're better post Charlie Condon.
And Wes Johnson said it after game 1. It was going to take a grown man to get the ball out of here. And Rylan, was able to do that. He studies the game so hard and locks in on every pitch, and he focuses and slows the game down really easily. It feels like a lot of the lineup focuses and slows the game down, is able to do so, and just, see the ball longer out of the hand and just, have more time to react. And just, they're such quick hands guys and explosive and just barrel the ball consistent. Like I said, Brendan Hudson, first hit of the season, 2-run homer. On just a 2-seam down, and he just turns and burns on just such quick hands. Christian Adams, he goes a career best 4 for 6 in game 2, the home run, 3 RBIs. Devin Obrey, back-to-back right after him with Adams on a center cut fastball. Like I said, they didn't miss any pitches. Florida couldn't get away with anything, pitching wise. Colby Branch, 3 for 3 at the home run. He had an on base streak of 21 games, now 22 games, I believe, after game 3. It was just 1 through 9. And Brian Curley gave them length. I think the length that he gave them on the mound gave them some mojo too, because they weren't having to figure out how to battle and fight out of a hole again, right? It was just all right, bet. Let's go out and continue to do what we do, but without being in a hole, right? And that was the biggest thing for me. They obviously hitting a lot of plus counts. What do you expect? But Wes Johnson, interesting thing, why Brendan Hudson and Christian Adams, they played, they started, right? He said our matchup card was screaming to play Brendan and Christian against their starter in game 2. We really liked it and thought we had a really good BP before. And, of course, Christian has, 4-hit day. And that's why you do those things, because that happens. And, Brendan has his first home run. I mean, talk about just head coaching managerial decisions. I mean, unbelievable from Wes Johnson there. I mean, game 3, Leighton Finley, what does he do? Exactly what you need to do. Give him length, right? And Wes Johnson, I was impressed with his command of fastball, dialed back in, right? And changeup looked really good. The slider was strong too, was sharp and competitive in the zone. And then they just continued to mash more fastballs over the zone, hanging breaking balls, even in plus counts, And Chris, I don't know if you know, Christian Adams had played in Florida Stadium before. He said, I played here before, but I didn't do as well this weekend. He was locked in, and it was something about coming back home because a lot of his family is in town that weekend for the series. So, we've seen it before, guys that play really well in front of their families. And, he did just that. And Florida, first time being swept in back-to-back series, Chris, since 2001. Yep. And Georgia had 13 home runs in the series. Florida had a total of 13 runs in the series. Unbelievable. And it's obviously
home runs.
Yeah, 13 runs. And you think about Rylan Zembrowski is the core of Georgia's offense, which is hard to say because 1 through 9 can mash. The last 10 games, Chris, he's batting .500, 20 for 40, 15 runs, 27 RBIs, 9 home runs, 3 doubles, 8 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Hottest hitter in the country last 10 games, Ryan Zaborowski.
On the flip side, Harrison, before we get off this one, again, we've spent the majority of the time giving flowers to Georgia as we said we would, and deservedly so. Again, hand up.
Biggest storyline, Chris, from the weekend.
Yeah, hand up. I was dead wrong. I called them overrated. You won't hear that chatter from me again. I can assure you. For Florida, 0-6 in SEC play. I haven't had many conversations with those guys down there, admittedly, just because what they got going on. They're trying to figure things out right now. I will have those conversations with them probably later today. But Florida needs to get healthy. Liam Peterson did not pitch, but man, you talk about just a nightmare start to conference play. The last time they got swept, you mentioned 0-1. I believe they won like their next 3 SEC series via sweep and got to 9-6. So not all hope is lost. It's just 2 weekends, but Harrison, Florida's got to get healthy, and they simply just got to play better baseball. Across the board.
Yeah, if you look at Florida, just like run production wise, 1 for 8, 1 for 4, 2 for 6 of hitting game 1, game 2, game 3 with runners in scoring position, and it just 2 out hitting. They didn't have the knocks either, and it was just weird to see because we haven't seen this Florida offense been that. I don't want to say shut down because game 1 they weren't. Game 2 and 3 just shut down, it felt like. And I think, obviously a dagger losing game 1, you have a 2-run home run to Rylan Zaborowski in the 9th. Talk about clutch, but just to see that kind of flip of a script from Florida, just how elite high level they hit and how a Georgia staff that, we had a lot of questions, concerns, especially on the pitching side, coming in. Tennessee, yeah, that happens when you're facing the arms and the arsenals that Tennessee has, pumping out guys left and right. But I was really shocked to see it. Like you said, Liam Peterson not pitching, just that doesn't help you either. Not having one of your best arms, not pitch the entire weekend. So
yeah, a lot of questions to be answered for Florida. And it doesn't get any easier. Harrison Sully said that on Sunday. Just nobody's going to feel bad for us. We got to keep it moving. They've got Florida State in the midweek, and then they got to go to Ole Miss searching for their first SEC win. So it will get no easier for the Gators as they look to get off the 0-for-6 start, like Harrison said, first time since 2001. Georgia gets a sweep in Gainesville, Harrison, first time since 2006. That has happened. So history made. Wow. History made for the better for Georgia, for the worse for the Gators. Harrison, let's go to Austin, Texas. The Texas Longhorns take down LSU in a best 2 out of 3. They take 2 games, lose game 1, win Saturday and Sunday. A lot to take away from here, man. We've mentioned the depth of that Texas lineup. Max Ballou has a big weekend yet again for the Horns. On the pitching side, Max Wiener, the arm farm. Probably my favorite meme of the weekend came from a Texas fan where I saw our team just gave your team the Max Wiener. Ruger Rojas, Dylan Volantis, they're absolute stars in the making and really stars already. You know, talking to LSU folks and watching some of that series, Harrison, LSU coming up short in some of the big moments, pitching depth or lack thereof. I think they've got plenty of talent. We talk about the depth, but some guys that I think are just probably taking some licks right now in that bullpen and in that staff. They got hit around a little bit. You know, they need to be better there. But Texas, the big story here, what a start for the Horns in SEC play, 5-1. And I think the ability to bounce back here at home, Harrison, and take this series against what I still think, obviously, is one of the best teams in college baseball. Very loud weekend for the Longhorns there at Dish Falk.
Yeah, loud weekend, especially after dropping game one, 8-2. I mean, he got handled, it felt like, in game one. You know, he out-hit, he got out-pitched. I mean, Kane Anderson, I think we have to continue to give him, you know, the props that we do and being one of the best Friday night guys in the SEC. I mean, 6 innings, scattering 7 hits, 2 earned, 8 Ks, no walks against this lethal Texas lineup. And then, I mean, Cowan coming in after him and slamming the door, 1 hit in 3 innings, 3 Ks, no walks, no runs. But I mean, to bounce back after losing game one like that to LSU, a team that, you know, could easily, you know, take game 2 or 3 or, you know, possibly both. I mean, just kind of battle tested and just you said it, the Jim Schlossnagle effect in full force in Austin, Texas. And, you know, you get out hit on all facets of game 1. Game 2, you bounce back, and it's a back and forth game, Chris. I mean, it was a pitcher. I think it was an exciting game to watch because you get a pitcher's duel first 3 innings, then you get back and forth for, you know, 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. And then Texas pulls away in the 7th or the 8th and 9th, and just timely clutch hitting. I mean, you get it from guys all up and down the lineup. I mean, Rylan Galvin, I mean, absolute stud. He's one of the hottest hitters in college baseball as well with Rylan Zaborowski. So I guess the name Rylan means you're really good at hitting, Chris. So
It helps. It helps. Doesn't hurt, that's for sure.
I tweet about how elite he's been on a tear hitting wise. He's seen beach balls at the plate too. I mean, and it was just really cool to see that. And, you know, just the pitching staff for Texas step up. Max Grubbs, game 2, giving him length. I mean, his stuff is really good. That sinker slider mix is very untraditional you see from, you know, guys in college baseball. And just as elite as it is for him, it's easy to see why he's so good and able to give, you know, a team like that length. I mean, he's one of their kind of back end bullpen guys, and he's coming in, you know, the 5th inning. It's like, this is weird. But then he goes, you know, 3 2/3 and, you know, holds the line for Texas. I mean, it's not a perfect line, but, you know, competes and gives his team an opportunity, you know, stay in this game and go out and get a chance to come back and win. He does that. And then, I mean, you got Dylan Volantis. I mean, I think he's the best freshman arm in the SEC. I don't think there's a debate about that really right now. They're possibly, I mean, he's top 3, no doubt. But, I mean, just these situations that he comes in, game 2 and game 3, comes in as a freshman, a true freshman, Chris. The arsenal that he has, it's nothing super overpowering. It's very kind of Tom Glavine, Ryan Prager-ish. I think it has a little more upside than Ryan Prager, though, especially with how young he is. I mean, just the off speed is really deep. He's dialed in the zone. The moment doesn't get too big for him either, which is the really, I think, most impressive thing. And he just looks so poised and executes his pitches. And obviously that's headlined by Max Wiener, the arm farm. The arm farm is working down in Austin, Chris. And we saw it, you know, game 2 and game 3, especially with Ruger Rojas, his first start for the Longhorns, the UTSA transfer, his 3rd career start. I mean, you couldn't have drew up a better, you know, start they asked for from Rojas. Just giving them the length he did, very impressive. And a Sunday rubber match, Chris. A Sunday rubber match. To go out and do that, I mean, give him almost 6 innings. You scatter 7 hits. You know, the thing is, doesn't walk a lot of guys. Like this Texas team doesn't like to walk a lot of guys. You know, Dylan Volantis doesn't either. I mean, they had a combined 11 strikeouts between the 2 of them, 2 walks, scatterings. I mean, Volantis shut him out. No hits. He had 1 walk. And that was the only base runner he saw that he gave up in game 3. I mean, it's just super impressive to see that and the pitching staff step up because, you know, your back's against the wall at home. Just the pressure I feel like that they had of, you know, after dropping game 1 to LSU, you're defending, you know, your first home SEC series, Chris, after you go on the road and you sweep Mississippi State at the Dude, the coolest and best environment in college baseball. Sorry, LSU fans, but it is. And you do that, I mean, and the bats pick it up. I mean, the bats just supporting along the way. Max Blue, no doubt, no homer that he pimped. That was really cool to see. And then you have Ryan Galvan. I mean, you have Jalen Flores had an absolute no doubter in the Yeti Yard. I mean, the Yeti Yard got so much free marketing promotion this weekend, Chris. Unbelievable. I mean, Yeti got a lot of promotion too from that too, but super cool to see. Dish Falk field was packed. I mean, sold out weekend. as it should be, Chris, as it should, right? And it was my, I think, favorite series to watch just because of the hype of two of the best, most historic blue blood college baseball programs in the history of college baseball. I mean, you have just on both sides. I mean, LSU is the second most national championships, right? And just Texas, I think, has the most College World Series appearances. And I was excited to see it. And Chris, we're going to get this probably almost every year now, whether it's regular season, conference tournament, at least, or probably in the postseason, matching up in supers. So that's going to be exciting to see. And I think it's great for the game of college baseball in the SEC for sure. But I mean, a loud weekend win for the SEC in Austin for Texas over the number 2 LSU. I mean, I think we learned a lot about both teams, but we learned a little bit more about Texas and just the grit that they have. And, go in there, timely hitting, right? Execution of that as well. And, they had a little bit more of that in game 2 and game 3. It felt like they kind of really controlled. I know it was back and forth in game 2, but it felt like they really controlled game 2 and game 3 for the majority of it. I mean, runners on, they were 8 for 21 in game 2 with runners on. That's almost 400. I mean, LSU wasn't far behind, but just like a couple more clutch hits, right? A couple more, borderline strikes, balls, just great plays. I mean, Stephen Milam, talk about great plays, Chris. Stephen Milam put him on a web gym all weekend. It felt like a shortstop. Just the arm that he has, just the range and just ability to play shortstop at a high level, elite level in college baseball was incredible to see. I mean, if you're a college baseball fan, let alone LSU or Texas, that was the series to watch. If you want to watch great college baseball and an incredible back and forth series, I mean, I think it's going to be definitely a continued rivalry that's only going to grow.
Yeah, we mentioned it, Harrison. That was a jersey game. That was a ball cap game. You hear it all the time in football. It's a helmet game. It's seeing those.
The helmet game behind you still.
Yeah, it's still behind me. We're still working on the batting helmet. Do not fear. It will happen. It will happen. I promise. But no, I mean it was a jersey game, man. I mean, two of the most historic programs, like you mentioned. Two things for me from this series. Number one, from the Texas perspective, the Texas side, the Jim Schlossnagle and Max Wiener effect is real, like you said. We weren't exactly sure. I mean, we knew that Jim Schlossnagle was one of the best coaches in college baseball. Like, we're really seeing that being put on full display. We'll get into what's going on down in College Station here in a second, but the Jim Schlossnagle effect is real, man. Like, Texas, for them to be 5-1 through 2 weekends in SEC play, for them to be doing what they're doing, and then Max Wiener, he's the best assistant coach in college baseball. He's the most high-impact hire that anyone made. And, like, I give him all the credit because you look at what Texas's pitching staff was last year, all the questions we had. I said it in the preseason. Hey, like, if Texas's pitching staff, if they overachieve my expectations and most expectations, all the credit goes to him. He might be a miracle worker. The dude might be a wizard when it comes to pitchers. Like, I mean, it is amazing.
I think he's minor league pitching coach of the year when he's in the Mariners. He's Forbes 30 under 30. I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Chris, even further, he's an awesome guy. He's a really great guy too. And just, what he's able to do with the staff and flip him around in, less than a season now. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my note too on Schlossnagle is everybody, listen, is he a stand-up guy off the field? I don't know. I've heard people motherfuck him like just constantly, but the guy's a hell of a coach. And that's really all that matters. Like in this conversation, the dude's a hell of a coach. He was worth every penny. Texas made the move of the offseason. If it wasn't already obvious when it happened and leading into the season, it is very obvious to me at this point. Texas made the move of the offseason, going out and getting the very best available, one of the best in the game, the best pitching coach in the game, and it's paying off major dividends. The second thing I wanted to hit on is this. LSU fans are freaking out. I get it. They don't take very kindly to losing in Baton Rouge. Here's the thing. I want to say this. You lost 2 of 3 to a top 10 team on the road. Jay Johnson's still your head coach. He's going to get this thing figured out. You don't need to blow this thing up after one bad weekend.
No.
I mean, it was one off weekend. Obviously, you don't want it to turn into a trend, but to see some of the chatter I saw on social media and talking to some folks, and I won't really even entertain the like fire Jay Johnson check because that's just silly nonsense. Whatever. It's over the top. It's overreactions. It is what it is, and we love the passion for the game, but it's a little much. There's nothing more. Tale as old as time in college baseball than college baseball fans calling for their national championship winning head coach to be fired after one bad weekend. But, I mean, listen, man, you go on the road, you lose 2 of 3 to a top 10 team. I know this one stung from the standpoint of you were hoping to humble the new guys in the conference at their place, and instead it's you getting humbled, and you hate that, and it stings, and that's rubbing salt in the wound. But here's my message to LSU baseball fans, not needing me to say this. And Texas, everybody, this is a message to everyone, but everybody's going to get humbled in this league, man. It's going to, you may not think it's going to happen to you, but it is going to happen to you. I promise. At some point, it may only be one weekend for your team, as good as you may be. I don't know. It depends on who you are. But, dude, everybody, with the way the gauntlet this conference is, everybody is going to run into a weekend like this. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when for your favorite team. So, LSU, I still think they're one of the best teams in the country. There's no need to panic. There's no need to blow up the starting rotation and blow up the lineup. Yeah, there's some things that have to improve, but the good news is this. You don't win the College World Series in late March, right? You don't. So I think LSU is going to be fine. I see a lot of fans out there, let's blow up the pitching staff. Let's blow this up. No, I think you trust Jay Johnson. It is what it is, man. Texas is a really good club. Sometimes you just have to tip your cap, and you hope you get them in the conference tournament, or maybe at some point down the road in the postseason, or maybe even Omaha, and you can get your revenge then. But in the meantime, you just got to tip your cap to the horns, man.
Yeah, and I want to touch on a couple more things before we get away from this that you kind of reminded me of and brought up in good points. The bullpen for Texas outpitched the bullpen for LSU by far. And there are, I don't want to say concerns, but just thoughts that maybe Texas's bullpen isn't as deep, but the guys that they roll up there have consistently got it done. LSU struggles in the bullpen. They're really struggling in the bullpen, especially without Gavin Guidry. Not having that arm. Haven't heard much about that.
Curious case of Gavin Guidry.
Haven't heard much about that. That's losing an elite arm. I don't care where he is.
Yeah.
To have that, and we talk about the arm farm. Texas outpitched them in the bullpen for sure. Runners on, LSU couldn't get the job done. Not terrible stats, but they just got outplayed. They got out-hit by Texas's offense against the bullpen versus LSU versus Texas's bullpen. Runners score position 2 for 9 in game 2. Leadoff was 2 for 9 as well. Game 3, runners score position batted 200, 1 for 5. Leadoff 2 for 9 again. Texas just took advantage of those opportunities. LSU in game 3. 2 for 11 with runners on. That's just what the biggest difference was in this game. And LSU does have questions in the bullpen and just depth questions too. But stuff wise, we've seen some of the guys, their main guys get hit around, and that, obviously a cause concern, but it's not a blow up the bullpen or blow up the starting pitching thing. Chase Shores did get hit around, I will say, but you're facing a really good lineup in a rubber match, and they got the best of them. It just wasn't his best stuff. He wasn't dominant. He wasn't, putting guys away. He wasn't early ahead at 0-2, 1-2 counts, as much as he should or has been. But Jay Johnson is not going anywhere, and he shouldn't go anywhere either. And it's not an imploded season. You lose on the road in the SEC in a tough environment. You tip your cap. I'd say the exact same thing, Chris, to Texas fans if they lost 2 or 3 at the box in the series. I would say the exact same thing. So, and like you said, Chris, I think you said
Jay Johnson chatter's crazy.
Get out of here.
Crazy. It's
miss
crazy.
me with that, Chris. Miss me with the Jay Johnson.
It's insane.
But like you said, you don't win the College World Series in March, but you learn a lot about your team in February, March. So I think they're learning about their stuff. I think you might get different guys in different situations in the bullpen, or kind of teeter with that a little bit. I don't think the starting rotation is the problem. I really don't. So we'll see. But I think LSU learned a lot about themselves, and are going to use it to their advantage, and learn from it and grow from it going forward. I think Texas also, they won this series, but they learned a lot about themselves too.
One more thing, Harrison, before we move on, and I'll just end it with this. Every team in this conference is going to have a weekend, or maybe even weekends, where they get punched in the face. The best teams are the ones that respond to it. That's what this league comes down to. So, the last thing you want is it to become a trend. But again, everybody, Texas, you're included. Oklahoma, you're included. Tennessee's included. Everybody going to get punched in the face. The best teams in the conference and in the country, they respond the right way. So I expect LSU to respond in a big way. We'll see how they fare.
That was a super regional College World Series matchup.
Yeah, it was
absolutely.
Awesome. That was peak college baseball. We loved every second of it. Harrison, let's go to another big-time series that started on Thursday, and it absolutely delivered. Alabama hosting the Tennessee Volunteers. The Vols go into the Joe in Tuscaloosa, and they take 2 of 3 after losing game 1. And really the stars here, Harrison, give Alabama a lot of credit. I mean, I think, I'll say this. People love to ask, like, is Bama for real? Like, are they even losing 2 of 3? Like, yeah, Bama's a for real good team. Tennessee just proved they're the best team in the country still yet again. I know everybody wanted to dance on their grave after Tuesday. They lost to East Tennessee State, whatever. Midweeks do matter for sure. I'm not writing it off. But people were ready, like especially, LSU folks out there, some others that maybe some Arkansas folks, maybe Georgia folks, whoever. Tennessee's not number 1. Like, they beat Florida's kind of down. Nah, I mean, for Tennessee to go on the road, take those games 2 and 3, claim that series on the road. And in an environment, obviously, in Tuscaloosa, they were fired up. We talk about biggest series, Joe, in who knows how many years. Marcus Phillips, Tegan Coons, others, they shove with their backs against the wall. The Vols are the big story here, Harrison, going on the road and getting it done after losing game 1. Really impressive. And, oh, by the way, really quickly, I'm going to eat crow because I picked LSU to go into Austin, Harrison, take 2 of 3. I rode with the Vols here. You had Alabama. Actually, excuse me.
No.
I keep thinking, for some reason, I keep getting confused. I was the only one to take Tennessee. It was our friend Jake that took Alabama. He's not here to account for his actions. Either way, you and I both went Vols. I stand corrected. Tennessee gets it done after losing game 1. Really impressive weekend.
Yes, obviously I took Texas at home. I think just, picking a team on the road in the SEC is tough. I mean, LSU's a great team to pick on the road, but LSU fans were giving me a tough time about that and just, he's an LSU hater, he doesn't know ball. Like, I'm not going to say one way or the other, but like,
doesn't know ball.
But I mean, I'm just going to say, like, I mean, I have no disrespect for LSU. I think they're a very talented team. I just picked a team and that I thought was better and that team won. So I did that again here in Tuscaloosa, in a stadium that should have been sold out all 3 games, Chris, at the Joe. That was not.
That was disappointing. That was disappointing.
Even the more disappointing thing was the amount of Bama fans that left, like later in the game. I get the weather. It was a little cold, right? I mean, game 2. I know it was a Thursday night, so I'll give them, some slack for that, right? I hate these Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, right? Because I'm recapping, Friday. I'm like, oh, wait, game 1. No, it's game 2, right? Stupid. I hate it. Except for Easter Sunday. It's the only time it makes sense. But no, like I thought, all the students in right field Friday was awesome. Awesome. That should be every single game. There no excuse on the weekend in the SEC. That should be every single game, right? But for Tennessee, you go in there after losing your midweek, the first time you're ranked number 1 this season to ECSU. Okay, so what? I said Alabama's going to get Tennessee's absolute best now. And yeah, they did. And Bama, very impressive in game 1. Same thing that happened to Chris too, right? Or that happened to Texas too, right, Chris? Lose game 1, come back against the wall, win game 2 and 3. Tennessee did it on the road though, and they did it without Gavin Keelan. To do it without, one of your best bats and the hottest bats, the first kind of half quarter of the season, very impressive. But Alabama, I mean, 3-0 green light in game 1 from Andrew Fisher, absolute nuke.
That was an all-time swing when he swings so hard he flips around. He's watching it like he just hit like long drive competition. Like that was an all-time.
It was an 89 mile an hour fastball, and they just bat flip. Everyone knew that was gone.
Deposited that baseball.
To get a 3-0 green light, that is what you do on a 3-0 green light. And obviously another run for Tennessee scored on an Alabama error at third, which errors were an issue for both teams. I mean, Tony Vitale talked about it too, and watching the games, I'm like, God, Tennessee's just throwing the ball around, just not helping themselves at all. William Doyle had some early command issues, just kind of he used elevated fastball a lot more than he normally does. And, it was very effective, but then got wild at times, and, it didn't, came back to backfire. I mean, second inning, single, hit by pitch, error, walk, 3 RBI double from Justin LeBron on a 1-0 high fastball. Justin LeBron can hit against anybody in the country. I'm absolutely sold on that. And he would be a top 3 pick in this year's draft if he was. Especially if he's a little bit bigger too, just size-wise, which he continues to put on weight. He did coming into this season as well. He talked about it and just how he thinks that's really bettered him and his body and be able to move better at a higher, more elite rate. I mean, Zane Adams, I was impressed with him, honestly. I mean, because I haven't been really high on Alabama's starting pitching, but like the stuff is there. I mean, fastball all over the black, slider mix looked great. Changeup was really well really good as well. And I want to see more of that changeup. I think that could be really effective on righties and especially lefties. But, nothing middle of the zone. But then, Tennessee just coming back. It was such a back and forth game. This was another one that college baseball fans, I don't care who you're a fan of, you want to watch a good college baseball series, Chris, watch this series as well. I know I said that for Texas LSU, but that's just how deep the SEC is. There's so many great series each weekend, and this was just a back and forth series. Dylan Lloyd, Chris, looked really sharp.
Yeah.
His stuff is great. Coming to slam the door, deep slider from him. And then Tennessee has an opportunity late in the game in the 8th inning. Line drive, Justin LeBron, heads up baseball IQ play, doubles him off at first in that threat. But I was really impressed, with a lot about game one, except for the errors and just kind of miscues from both sides. Bama just had the edge and, was able to squeak out a win, a very big win. To do that at home against the number one team in the nation and, a rival in Tennessee, very impressive. Game two, the Bulls put pressure on them from the jump. Talk about responding and coming back, swinging it and just putting pressure on Alabama. Costly error for Bama in the second. Riley Quick, fastball slider mix was really good. Left the bases loaded in the second to prevent more damage. Marcus Phillips, not his best outing, but really competed. I like what I saw from him, even though the box score doesn't really say that. He went less than 5, 2 earned. He only had 4 hits, though, but just wasn't as dominant with the strikeouts as he normally is, we've seen. But Tennessee just throwing the ball around so much, Chris. It was frustrating to see. And Tony Vitello was interviewed mid-game and asked about it. And he was just, we're just making a lot of mistakes and, giving them opportunities and, making more mistakes than them. They did leave the bases loaded again in the 5th, thanks to Illinois again. But Tennessee, 7, Chris, of their 10 runs scored with 2 outs, including all 7 after the first inning. They were 7 for 15 with 2 outs, 5 for 12 with runners in score position. That is clutch. To do that on the road, that's how you respond and how you win a game. Alabama did give them a run for the money. Nate Snead got hit around a lot in relief, surprisingly. But Dalton Bargo, I think, flew under the radar, going 2 for 2, 3 RBIs off the bench in the 7th inning. Not enough, credit for that. Very impressive with that. Riley Quick, really short outing, which caused the bullpen a lot of strain, which I think played into game 3. Feel free to jump in whenever, but game 3, then you have a rubber match, Chris, on the road for Tennessee, right at home. And you have a lot to prove for both teams. I think more for Alabama just because of the situation. After you win game 1, it's like, all right, backs against the wall for us now. Pressure's on us after winning game 1 against number 1 Tennessee. Bobby Alcock had one of his best starts, I think, probably of his career last week. And he got hit around, a couple extra base hits and walks, but left them low in the second again. Hanging breaking balls hurt him a lot. He had 2 home runs that way. And then the freshman, Tegan Kuntz, Chris, another freshman arm. Tegan Kuntz is up there, and he dominated as one of the best freshman arms in the SEC. True freshman him and Braden Krenzel dominated as true freshmen on the road in the SEC in rubber match. Combined 8 2/3, 4 hits, 1 earned, 11 Ks, 3 walks, Chris. And Kuntz retired the first 11 guys he faced to start. His fastball curveball mix at 12-6 is deadly. He, I think, is a sleeper as a Sunday. To have him as a Sunday, Chris.
I'm curious. You think they keep the Sunday roll open and keep going TBD just in case, and use guys in different spots? Or I wonder if Tegan Kuntz takes over that Sunday roll. I wonder.
It wouldn't surprise me if they keep showing that, but that's kind of the mindset going as Kuntz has that. We obviously had the question: when does AJ Russell come back and how? Does he come in that Sunday roll or whatnot?
That's the other thing that's really scary.
They have
about
the luxury
Tennessee.
of riches, though, for him.
Yeah, like you mentioned, they win 2 or 3 on the road against a good Bama team without Gavin Keelan, and AJ Russell's not even factoring in yet. So
yeah, exactly. To have missing pieces, guys step up like that. Dalton Bargo coming in, Hunter Inslee. With bases loaded. Multiple guys on it. I feel like almost every time he came up, barreling the baseball, either barreling it and getting out, or coming in clutch with RBIs or moving guys over, but multiple RBIs oftentimes, right? And they put pressure on the Vols, put pressure on every single inning. It felt like using the whole field in every different facet. Tennessee, Chris, in 2024 was 5-1 in SEC rubber matches. We talked about the last time Tennessee dropped a series was last year at Alabama because of how the schedule with COVID played out. They hadn't lost. We talked about when was the last time they lost back-to-back games? Because they didn't the rest of the season. And they were, so this season, Chris, they're now 6-0 in series finales this year. And last year they were 14-2 in such games.
Yeah. That's depth.
That's just
that
guts,
speaks to depth.
Guts, depth, and just pedigree of just getting the job done and execution.
Yeah. Yeah. The depth for Tennessee, we've talked about it a lot, but what Tony Vitello has built there. the amount of talent they've got, the amount of guys they've got that can beat you. Obviously, like you said, that shows
guys that
up
would
on
start
Sundays.
other SEC schools right now.
Yeah, guys that would be big-time impact players of the places. Harrison, Bama, I want to highlight off to a 4-2 SEC start. I will say, I don't think there's anybody around Tuscaloosa or certainly that covers this conference like we do. Like if I would have told you Alabama was 4-2 after 2 SEC weekends with Texas A&M at Texas A&M and Tennessee, Alabama, the good news is this. You're still in a great position. 4-2 after 2 weekends, averaging a series win each weekend. You're still in a good spot.
Preseason?
If I'm telling you preseason that after those first 6 SEC games, they'd be 4-2.
With A&M expected, unanimous
right.
number 1, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think you have to give, Rob Vaughn his praise and his flowers because of, just the pedigree of a coach he is, and just we saw him get ejected, and I think it was
He's trying to fire up the guys. I respect
fire up the guys, but the call was correct, I think. But Jay Johnson did not get his money's worth. Rob Vaughn got his money's worth getting ejected. Jay Johnson was like, all right, whatever. And the guy threw him out from behind first base, which, come on, that's Bush League. Go do it to his face, at least. And I was hoping Jay Johnson would march back out there all the way to first, and, especially on the road. Why not? Right. But Rob Vaughn did it from his fans and just how much he cares about this program. And just, he's an elite baseball coach. Really. And I think he's really, shocked this program, this Alabama program into, obviously the right direction, but just catapulted them in the right direction even more. And really impressed with him, like the pedigree of him as a coach, and think he's only going to continue to do great things here in this conference in Alabama. So we'll see. But I don't think you have any disrespect, or I don't have any, loss or takeaway in a negative fashion for Alabama. I picked Tennessee to go win 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway, Harrison, for me, Game 1 showed that Bama is for real when it comes to being the caliber of a really high-quality team in this conference this season. Games 2 and 3 proved they're not to where Tennessee is quite yet. Two things can be true at once.
Specifically, Game 3, Chris, proved they don't have the depth that Tennessee has.
And that's the difference. And that's the difference. That's what makes Tennessee and where Bama is right now. Bama. And again, that's not a knock on Bama. There aren't many Tennessees, if any, of them. That's why they're number 1 in the country. So two things can be true at once. People keep asking, is Bama for real? Yes, Bama's a for real high quality. I think they could be a regional host. They're that caliber of team. They're not to the level Tennessee's at yet, which, again, nothing to beat yourself up over because most other teams in college baseball aren't either.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, that's going to come with time, obviously in recruiting and just building the program up even more to where it is. I think Alabama right now is upper tier 2. And I say that because Bama fans aren't like an upper tier 2, but that's 5th or 6th in the SEC.
That's not bad. That's
really good.
Dude, that's still a top 15 team in the country. So
Exactly.
And
that's in year 2
of Rob
Vaughn.
Yeah. And Rob Vaughn, I tell you this, he's going to be a hot name if some places around the SEC open up potentially. I'm just saying, as Bama continues to have more success, Rob Vaughn is going to continue to elevate amongst the coaching ranks, and he may be a guy that's looked at for some openings nationally. I'm just, not saying he's going to leave, obviously, but I'm just saying the stock of Rob Vaughn will continue to rise as well. So what
rise with the tide.
Yeah, what he's done there is really impressive. Harrison, let's go to what took place in Nashville, Vanderbilt and Texas A&M. This was the other Thursday through Saturday series. Vandy getting the series sweep. They are now 15-0 on their home field this season, have been dominant there. And Harrison, the pitching was dominant for Vandy. Shocker. Vandy's arms dominated. 49 strikeouts, 17 strikeouts in Game 3 alone, Harrison. Unfortunately, so much of the attention is going to go to what A&M's not doing versus what Vanderbilt did. A&M now has a losing record, Harrison, on the season. They are 11-12 overall. They are 0-6 in SEC play. Let's highlight really quickly, though, Harrison, what Vandy, because we're going to spend time, obviously, talking A&M. Vanderbilt, this was a team that, admittedly, I was down on coming in the season. Again, this is the Eat and Crow show, I feel like. I did pick Vandy. I will say that. You went A&M.
I went
Jake went A&M.
This is a business trip. This is something, just get it clicking.
All good.
An opportunity to go at Vanderbilt, a team that, is.
Yeah. All good. I'm just saying, I want to pat myself on the back, but I'm eating crow from the standpoint of before this season. This was a team that I was like, you know what? The offense isn't quite there. I was lower on Vandy, I think, than many others were out there. They've impressed me thus far.
Yeah.
They've impressed me. This was a big bounce back weekend for Vandy too. You lose your
After
opening
dropping
SEC
an electric series.
Yeah, at Auburn to win 3. Now you sit there 4-2 in conference play. So you're back on track from the standpoint of where you want to be in the SEC race. Give Vandy their credit, man. I know A&M's scuffling. We'll get there in a moment, but Vandy deserves a lot of credit, especially on the bump. 49 Ks in 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, to do that, I thought, their game 1 guy, Connor Fennell. I mean, his first, I thought he was really good.
Remember, he gives up the Jace Lavalette home run early. I'm thinking to myself here, there's the spark. There's the spark.
Yep.
Dude, it was just shut down from that point.
I mean, Jace that's just, took advantage of that. It was a really good piece of hitting. I mean, he looked his normal self. Jace Lavalette looked his normal self, Chris. I mean, he had 6 total bases, a home run and a double to start the series. I'm like, all right, Jace, business trip for the boys. Jace is, found his groove. He looked really confident in his at-bats. Didn't miss his pitches, right? But Connor Fennell, really good. And I think he might be able to stick in the weekend rotation. I really do. I think with the Thursday thing, it might change because it was a Thursday series start. Maybe, you put him on Sunday or, Saturday, depending on how that works out. But I think he should definitely get an opportunity. 6 Ks, Chris, through 2 innings. And it's nothing overly powering on the fastball side. I didn't see they missed a lot of velocities they didn't put on for fastball. I think it was like 88, 91 maybe, but his changeup's really good. He pulls a string on that like a yo-yo. The slider's deep. I mean, both 72, 73 on those. And I mean, he just really expanded the zone. I was really impressed with him. And obviously, Tim Corbin, pitching guy, pitching guru, factory at the Vandy boys are, right? He knows what he's doing, and great opportunity for him to pitch. And he went out and took the opportunity and ran with it and proved himself that he can pitch in the SEC. And even though I know people are going to say it's a struggling A&M lineup, but I mean, to go do that in your first start in the SEC, big. And, to set the series tone too was impressive. I mean, Jacob Humphrey, he had a huge game. I mean, 3-run homer off Ryan Prager, hasn't looked as dominant as he did last season, Chris. I mean, early this season, you could say so more non-conference rights, but just like he's not overpowering everyone, and he's not, I don't think, getting as ahead in the zone, expanding the zone with his type of arsenal and approach. And, maybe did he go make the right decision to come back? I think that is a question A&M fans are having.
I think he did. I think he did from the standpoint of NIL. He got more money than he would.
Yeah.
And he's going to get drafted. I'll tell you this, though. This game is so mental. You and I both know this game is so mental. This is the biggest fear for Texas A&M, that at some point, dude, think about it, Harrison. You're a starting pitcher. You were a pitcher. Like, know your offense can't do anything. So you have to be
everything
perfect. You got to nitpick. Like, it's so mental. You don't have the confidence. I can just go out there, attack. You know what? If a guy hits one out, whatever. I give a solo shot. My offense has got me. Like, I don't doubt this starting rotation feels like, dude, we have got to throw a gem. So there's a little bit more nitpicking that goes on. I don't want to say you're more on the defensive, but you kind of are, Harrison. You get what I'm saying, right? Like, when you're like, I got to throw a shutout, like, that causes you to nitpick. You might get behind in counts. Then you don't have a choice but to, you're in a hitter-friendly count. You got to kind of serve one up. I'm not surprised I'm not going to be surprised at the starting rotation if they start to suffer because of this, because the hitting is so bad. It's so bad. At some point, I think that takes a toll. And you're like, you can't keep asking this starting rotation to go out there weekend after weekend, throw 100 pitches and be like, hey, man, you got to limit them to 1 run, 2 runs maybe for us to have a shot.
I mean, game 2, Justin Lamb can go 7 innings, scattering 5 hits, gives up 3 runs.
That's not a bad start.
3 Ks, 1 walk. They lose 3-1 because J.D. Thompson goes up there 6 1/3, 5 hits, 1 run, 10 punchies, no walks. I mean, just outpitched. I mean, like, and that's not even that's a good. I would take a 7-inning, 5-hit, 3-run, outing every weekend in the SEC. If I was pitching, I would absolutely take that. But to get, I mean, you just got outpitched and a couple base knocks from Vanderbilt and clutch opportunities of 2 runs in the 7th off Dalton Barzey's double. I mean, that's just what. Like you said, the pressure that's been on A&M's pitching staff too. And their pitching staff, their starting position pitching staff has not been the problem. It's not been the issue. It's the bullpen behind them. But the starters, they can go, 4.5. I know you can't do half, like 4.5 on average, plus 5, 5+ innings and give up 3 or less runs. I mean, we talked about last week, Chris, how A&M has to give up less than 3 runs to win because they have given up 2 games when they given up 7 runs, or 2 games when they give up 6. If my memory is correct, it should be really close though. 1 game when they gave up 7 runs, and 2 games of 4 runs, and that was the most runs they gave up like game for game, each season. And they had won, I think, 3 of those games. They won like 11-7 in one of them, but when they give up more than 3 runs, they've lost almost every game they've done that. It feels like. The record was probably pretty close.
And Harrison, correct me if I'm wrong, but 5 innings pitched, 3 earned or less is considered a quality start, correct?
Absolutely.
For A&M, though,
and
they need an above quality. They need above average starts.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you go out there and have 6+ punchies, but like Justin Lankin's outing was really good. I mean, give him his credit. 7 innings. You say the bullpen in game 2. And I just after
if your guy goes out there and gives you 7 innings, 3 earned on the road in the SEC, you have to win that game. You have to win that game.
It should be a 1-run ball game if you lose.
Yeah.
But then you have Cody Balker goes in on the game 3, which was Saturday, goes 4 2/3, scattering 6 hits, 3 runs, 8 punchies, no walks, and then you have a lot of bullpen behind him for Vanderbilt. I mean, they put Ethan McElvin in the bullpen, which he was better. Didn't have any earned runs in his 1 2/3, but gave up 2 unearned. But you think about it, they didn't have to use anyone in the bullpen really because you got Miller Green who goes 2 innings, just clean 2 innings, 4 punchies in game 2. And then you have Sawyer Hawks, one of the best relievers in, I think, the SEC, shuts out A&M over the final 4 innings in game 1. I mean, they just got outpitched and outhit. And that's not something, anyone, I think, would have anticipated saying that Vanderbilt was going to outhit A&M preseason. And I mean, we've talked about how, the Hawk, I've been to the Hawk. I can't remember if you have or not, but it's not a hostile environment. The only thing you got to deal with is the Vandy Whistler. But like, it's a cool ballpark, but it's not a hostile environment like playing at Bluebell Park, right? And, I thought maybe the focus of not playing at Bluebell Park, going away from the fans, going on the road, flipping a switch for the Aggies didn't happen. But, I mean, we got to give Vanderbilt their props. I mean, how they've been battle tested. They've gone in these tournaments. They've gone out West Coast twice and played a bunch of teams on the road. They knew who they were coming into the SEC, and they've been proving that. 15-0, Chris, at home. 15-0, Vanderbilt. Their best start since, 2002?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think Vanderbilt is, because of maybe, some non-consistent hitting at a high level compared to a lot of SEC schools around the conference, they're going to be a very scrappy team that's in every series because of the pitching and the bullpen. And then, some hitting that, RJ Austin, he's a threat every time he's on base and, in the box. And it's just going to be, I'm drawing a blank on what's his name, freshman that I'm really high on. I'm drawing a blank. Give me a second. Brody Johnston, excuse me. That was bad. But Brody Johnson, just like Vanderbilt has guys that have stepped up, and they're doing that so far. I mean, yes, they've played Auburn and a struggling A&M, but I think they're going to be a really competitive team in the SEC and scrappy.
They're kind of like what we said about Arkansas, Harrison. If they can swing it, you trust the pitching, and obviously it's Tim Corbin's staple. They're going to pitch and play defense pretty well. If they can swing it a little bit, Vandy's going to be really dangerous. So, Harrison, on the flip side, A&M, 11-12 overall, 0-6 in SEC play. It sounds like they might get Caden Sorrell back this week, just hearing some things from this morning. But simply put, man, is there any hope for a turnaround here? Like, it's starting to feel more and more like this is just who they're going to – here, I'll say this, Harrison. The hope that A&M, or the thought that A&M might have a weekend where it's like they revert back to, oh, this is the number 1 team, the team that we thought was the no-brainer pick to win the college season. That conversation, I think, is dead. I genuinely think that combo, that idea of what this team could be, that's dead to me.
We had the conversation. What does a successful season look like for A&M at this point?
The question is, can they turn it around from the standpoint of, number 1, winning an SEC game, and number 2, just being competent enough across the board to get to the postseason? I mean, because at this point, there's like, dude, we've seen nothing. At least and I posed the question, who wins the SEC game first, Florida or Texas A&M? Florida goes to Ole Miss, Texas A&M hosts Kentucky. they better win an SEC game this weekend. No disrespect to Kentucky, but just saying, at home. But the thing with Florida, at least, Harrison, number one, and I know A&M's banged up too. They Caden Sorrell, they're trying to get him back. Gavin Krahovic's out for the year. Florida's banged up. I've seen them against a competent team, Miami, take a series. I have nothing to point to with A&M. Nothing. And we're halfway through the year.
And Chris, that was obviously their first road trip. I mean, I thought it was going to flip a switch. I keep saying I know. They're 0-6 in SEC play. The same SEC record as Missouri. Not even
11
Florida,
and
but Missouri.
12.
But Chris, they still have to play at number 1 Tennessee. This is obviously with the rankings of last week. At number 3 Arkansas, at number 8 Texas, versus number 2 LSU, and at number 4 Georgia, per rankings of this past weekend. How many SEC games are they going to win at this rate?
And you make a great point, Harrison. Like, the reason you and I didn't pick them, I think I'm speaking for you. I know for me,
I think that's at least 10 losses.
One of the reasons we didn't pick A&M to win the conference was because the schedule was such a gauntlet. But that was with us even thinking. That was us even thinking like they're going to live up, be this number 1 team. They're not very good, and they got to take on the gauntlet. Like, they haven't even gotten to the hard part yet. The hardest part, I will say, the hardest part, because give your credit to Vandy and Bama, but, like, they haven't got to the hardest part. So, like, A&M is staring down the barrel of a losing conference record. That might sound like a very obvious take, but just saying that out loud, can they get to 15-15 in SEC play? They'd have to go, 15-9 in their last 24 SEC games. At this point, I don't even know if they can win an SEC game.
They play Kentucky.
That sounds outrageous. Like, the turnaround they'll have to make to go 15-9 over their last 8 series.
You have to. A&M has to sweep Missouri, and you have to win 2 or 3 at least against Kentucky this weekend.
Harrison, we'll talk about it more on Thursday. This is the most must-win series of all time. Like, if you lose to Kentucky, if you lose the series to Kentucky
at home,
the Michael Early conversation is going to get very real. Very real. It might be uncomfy to some. It's going to get real, man. I'm just saying, as must-win as it gets for them, dude. The bottom line is this, Harrison. I'm losing any hope that this team is going to turn it around. And I stand by what I said last week. I'm not going to continue to harp on it, but you missed the postseason with this group, man. It can't be accepted. It can't be tolerated. I mean, it just can't. It just can't. So, yeah.
Time will tell.
Wild conversation. Insane.
Wild.
0-6, A&M or Florida. I'd like to know, who do you think is going to win their first SEC? Who's going to win an SEC game first? It's worth the debate. Harrison, let's go to Norman, Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners take 2 of 3 from Mississippi State. Jackson Willits, Easton Carmichael, both a big weekend for the Sooners offensively. The most impressive thing, I think, Harrison, is the fact that Oklahoma won this series despite losing game 1 when Kyson Witherspoon spun a gem. Pico Khan outduels him 2-1 game. They win the series anyways. Dylan Crooks gets the save. I thought this was cool. He gets the save in game 3. Pitchers are athletes, right? He laid down a sack bunt to give himself another insurance run. Then he goes and gets the save. Really, really cool moment. From the other side, Harrison, the chatter around Chris Lemonis. You fairly gave me a lot of hell last year because I was one early in the season on hey, maybe it's time to move off of Chris Lemonis.
But what Justin Parker did with the pitching staff last year flipped that completely.
Yeah, but the Chris Lemonis chatter is really, really starting to heat up. And, we'll see. They're not going to do anything, obviously, midseason. That's not something that happens. Yeah, we'll get to that. Your thoughts first, Oklahoma. They keep on keeping on, man. Big time. Again, most impressive thing to me, the fact you're able to win this series despite losing Kyson's start. That is a really good sign for them.
Yeah, that's why I think the whole win-loss record in baseball, especially college baseball, is just a flawed stat. I'll say Jacob deGrom, obviously, for MLB, but just Kyson Witherspoon. He goes he gets outpitched, but he goes 6 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 11 Ks, 1 walk. Just another dominant start from him. And I feel like you stole exactly what I wanted to say, which is Pico Khan outpitching him. I mean, he goes 6, 2 hits, no earned, 10 Ks, 2 walks, and just, I mean, this series gave you everything we wanted in a college baseball
statement
series.
Start from Pico Khan. That was a
Statement start on the road in the SEC to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could say, oh, Oklahoma's offense. Well, then watch game 2. I mean, they're clearly able to do that, but the one unearned run for State that they scored was in the first on a single, and then they scored that sac fly that had an earned run for State in the 7th. That was the game. That was literally the difference in game 1. And I mean, we have to put Kyson Witherspoon again in top 3 Friday night pitchers in the SEC for sure. I mean, it just continues. We have to keep saying it, right? But the bullpen behind this Mississippi State, who we've seen struggle, pitched very well. I mean, Stone Simmons, he gave up 1 unearned, right, in his 1 inning. And then Luke Dotson, 2 shutout innings, 1 hit. He was really good. But obviously, the bullpen behind, Oklahoma was just as good with Jackson Bowden and James Hitt. I mean, James Hitt just had, 1 out. But then you get to game 2. And, Chris, I'm going to say this with the utmost confidence. Mississippi State absolutely blew this series. They had no reason losing this game. No reason. 5 errors for State that absolutely cost them in the game. And I mean, OU stole bases all over them all day, all weekend in the SEC. I mean, they're the second, best team at stealing bases in the conference behind Kentucky, who that's just what Kentucky does, right? But it was ridiculous. They stole 9 bases in the game Oklahoma did, a season high. 3 of them from Kyle Branch and 3 from Dawson Willis. I mean, that's how you just get runners in score position in just a single, right? Get a guy on it in any way you can. Then you have Kyle Branch stole 2 bases at once. I mean, you have just all it takes is a single after that to score from second with a good secondary, right? But Mississippi State's down 7, Chris, because of all the errors and miscues that happened as well after that, right? 5-run spot in the 3rd. They're down 7-5. Ace Reese, Chris, we keep talking about this kid. He is a stud. He is so hot hitting the plate right now. In the 3rd, battled back, and he had a home run. I think a 2-run home run in the 3rd, and then a 3-run home run in the 4th, smashing. No elevated fastballs getting past him. And then Noah Sullivan with one of the most professional at-bats I've seen in a while. I mean, deep, fighting off pitchers, quality bat in the 7th that gave State the lead in game 2. And they went from down 7-0, Chris, in the 3rd inning to leading in the 7th. It was a 2-out base knock, too. Really impressed with that. And then, Dawson Willits, RBI, tied the game in the 7th on a no-doubt bat flip home run. I mean, he absolutely pimped it out. It was ridiculous. 2-run homer in the 8th. But, I mean, just the errors for Mississippi State absolutely cost them the game, and then allowing Oklahoma to run all over you. They had no business. I mean, you and I both picked Mississippi State to go in there and upset Oklahoma on the road and win the series. And they absolutely should have, Chris. It was ridiculous. And the whole chatter about, Lemonis, do you still have that chatter if they win the series? Do you even mention that if they win that series because of that game, right? Game 3, I mean, it was ridiculous, right? 6 more stolen bases for Oklahoma. I mean, it was small ball back and forth. I mean, I will say Oklahoma had over 14,000 fans there. With as small of an SEC ballpark as they had, over 14,000 fans there, including the midweek. So that was really impressive. And they had spring break this week. Give them some props for that, I will say. But small ball game back and forth, Sam Christensen's game time homer in the 5th. And like you said, you stole it from me. I wanted to have that one. Dylan Crook coming in the 8th inning, the closer. And then because Scott Muddler got hurt, he exited with an injury. Easton Carmichael goes, replaces him as a catcher. And Crooks is DHing, lays down a sack, kind of a safety squeeze bunt RBI to help his own cause out. We love that. Pitchers are athletes too. Put in the record book. He's a 2-way player now. Dylan Crooks, I mean, huge to help your own cause, and huge because it helped Oklahoma win the game and win the series. I mean, in a rubber match. Really, really, impressive series, I think, for Oklahoma on both sides of the ball. I think we learned more about Oklahoma because of that. They can win it in a 2-1 ball game, obviously, with Kyson Witherspoon and saving the bullpen, right, in game 1 constantly. Game 2, yeah, you blow a huge lead. But first off, you got a huge lead. Yes, with errors, but you take advantage of those errors, right? You take advantage of those miscues and continue to extend innings. They can swing it, right? They can swipe bags with anyone in the country. I mean, obviously, that's Kentucky. I mean, it's by far Kentucky and Oklahoma swiping the most bags in the SEC. And to do that, and then you just kind of new game, right? New tie ball game. And they come back and just battle tested and, win that game and edge it out with, just a clutch hit. One more clutch hit, right, is all it took. And in game 3, you win a different style ball game, small ball game, and have your pitcher help you out. Come on. I mean, we learned a lot about Oklahoma this week, and I think more so than Mississippi State going on the road because they blew this series. But Oklahoma, I mean, be able to win in multiple facets in different ways, I was really impressed with.
The best teams, Haberson, can beat you in the most ways. That is true in every single sport.
And I mean,
Oklahoma
not to bash LSU, but you talk about how it's a different style of LSU team. They're not going to, destroy you with home runs. It's a different style LSU team. And, to compare, because it made me think of it, Oklahoma, did that in game 3 with small ball. Game 2, just mashing the ball out of the yard. In game 1, pitching. Like that's going to play very well from down the season. They can continue to do that.
Yeah. I want to mention this, Harrison, really quickly. Oklahoma continues to thrive their first season, obviously in the SEC. Texas, we already talked about what they're doing. I will mention this. Texas and Oklahoma, they don't have much in common. They don't like each other, but I will tell something that brings a smile to both Texas and Oklahoma fans' faces. From folks I've talked to, those around the SEC hate how well those two are doing, at least at this point. They hate it. They hate it.
That doesn't surprise me.
Now, we like it. I'm all for it. It's all great. But, like, SEC fans, those around the conference, even those that cover other teams, they can't stand it. I mean, I think that, Oklahoma obviously struggling in football. Texas, though, they go to the SEC title. They go to the Final Four in the college ball playoff. Basketball, they were humbled a little bit, but both make the NCAA tournament. I think a lot of people thought, hey, college baseball is going to be the thing. This is our crown jewel. This is our thing where, man, we're going to show you weekend after weekend, and it's actually them that's delivering some of the whoopings, if you will, to this point. So it's a long season. We'll see. But, yeah, Texas and Oklahoma fans, I know y'all are feeling good, and there's a lot of folks around the SEC that hate it. So relish in it, revel in it. Harrison, before we get off this again, Chris Lemonis, we got a long season ahead. I say that. We're at the halfway point. 8 more conference weekends. I will say, though, it feels like super regional or bust for Chris Lemonis. It does. It feels like to me, because in the 3 scenarios in which they don't make the supers, number 1, you host a regional at the Dude and you lose. Unacceptable. Number 2, you're a 2 or 3 seed like last year and you have to go on the road and you lose in somebody else's regional. Unacceptable. And then, of course, the third option, you miss the postseason completely. Obviously unacceptable. It feels like he probably needs to make the supers, for me at least, to feel really good about him returning next year.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, losing a regional to Dude, it feels like for Mississippi State fans, unacceptable.
And I'll say this, Harrison,
especially after winning a national championship.
I'll say this. It's because talking to a lot of them, I know they won the national title in 2021, but they feel as if Mississippi State is one of the best programs, not just in the SEC, but all of college baseball. That is how they view it. And I'm not going to tell them to view it differently. Like, I get it. You won a national title. Like, you've got the best facility in the country. You should have high expectations. And, yeah, I mean, the chatter is starting to grow louder and louder, especially after this weekend.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. But, I mean, I don't want to say on the thought process of, fire a coach or whatnot. But I just think it's tough because, I mean, when you lose games the way they did, just with errors, like, it's not the coach's fault. Like, the infield, the outfield booted it around. Everyone booted it around. Like, you can't blame the coach for that. Like, I think that's kind of ridiculous. But it's also, look, like you said, with Oklahoma and Texas both having immediate success in the SEC, it's just deepening the gauntlet the SEC is and just how tough it is to win in every single weekend. I think there has to be taken with a little bit more grain of salt, than that. I mean, you want to compare, kind of in a similarity, Mississippi State's drop off, after winning national championship, right, in 2021. So 2022 drop off, that feels like A&M this season. It does.
Just without the title.
And yeah, exactly. And they're saying, that saved him, right? That title saved him. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's like, I don't think he's a bad coach at all. It's just when you have miscues like that blow games and series for you, you can't blame it on the coach.
It's a fair point. Granted, it may fall on deaf ears in Starkville, but it's a fair point, Harrison. I'll give you that. Let's go to the series that took place in Lexington, Kentucky. Harrison, Auburn goes on the road to Kentucky Proud Park, takes 2 of 3, had an opportunity to sweep, but Kentucky avoids it. jumped all over Auburn's Sunday guy and did win game 3. But either way, Tigers win the series. Really competitive first 2 games in the series. Auburn wins both. They had some clutch hits late. Ike Irish returning in a big way. Harrison, he went 5 for 6 in game 2 with a big home run. Again, those first 2 games really close. One of them went to extras, but Auburn finds a way, and they win their second consecutive series. So all good on the Plains, and Kentucky right on the verge of a series win, but couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, again, just another different style, weekend for Kentucky. Just then the series versus Georgia, trying to outslug them, and didn't work. But you picked Kentucky, right?
I did. I did pick Kentucky. Yeah, and the home upset.
I was getting crap for picking Auburn on the road. I mean,
I give Auburn a lot of credit. They're another team that's just kind of flying under the radar still, right, wrong, or indifferent.
I think also because of Alabama in their season, they're flying under the radar.
Right. I do think that's part of it. I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, the pitching staff. I mean, Sam Dutton to go on the road in the SEC, 5 innings, you scatter 8 hits. You do give up 4 runs, 4 Ks, no walks, but to do it on the road, I think that's still a quality start. I mean, it's not a great, you don't want that or love that start, especially against, Kentucky versus a, Tennessee or a Georgia offense, but you still give your team a chance. And, when you have an offense that can score runs, like that Auburn can, and, they're able to do that, and they come back and support them. They score 1 in the first, 2nd, and 3rd, and then they put up a big 3 spot in the 6th. And then you close it out with 2 in the 9th. I mean, you come back down 1, on the road to do that. Just that was really impressive to see. I know it's a very scrappy Kentucky team that steals a lot of bases, plays clean defense. Kentucky did have 1 error, which I think was costly, but I mean, runners on. I mean, Auburn struggled with runners on. They struggled. 3 for 10 with runners in score position, right? Their leadoff guy consistently got on. That was a big thing for me in game 1. I think game 2 as well. I mean, Cade Fisher, his best outing, Chris, in game 2. I mean, 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. The strikeout stuff's still not there. 1 strikeout, 1 walk, but you give your team length in what no one, I don't think, outside of Auburn really expected out of Cade Fisher, just because the struggles we've seen from him and the velo drop, just the efficiency and whatnot. But then they kind of bullpen piece it together after that and just keep Kentucky off balance. Ike Irish, I mean, obviously super clutch. Kentucky should have won that game, I think, that game 2 in extras. Auburn, I don't want to say it's trying to blow, but it felt like it. I mean, I can't remember who was on the mound that during that, it was like in the 9th or 10th inning. But that game, I mean, it was for Kentucky for the taking. And they desperately wanted and needed that, especially, how they won and responded in game 3. Knocking Chatterton out after 1 out. Give 5 earned. But I do like the response from Kentucky to, shut out Auburn and, pick up a win at home. Not get swept at home, because you can't have that in the SEC. You really can't. So to put up a 5 spot in the first and, hold Auburn to 2 hits the entire game, really good bounce back opportunity. But both teams left so many runners on base. I mean, 7 in the first game, 11 in the second game, and I think 2 each, 11 total in the third game between the 2. I mean, that's just what's going to hurt the most, I think, for the coaching staff, is just the leading runners on base. But like you said, Ike Irish, really impressed with him. I mean, just clutching up enough on the road in the SEC, Chris. I don't think we give enough credit to people that do that. I mean, Snow had 2 RBIs as well in game 1. I mean, you have Steele in the DH spot at the bottom of the order, have 2 RBIs, just different guys being able to do it. And it was I think an important win for Auburn on the road in the SEC, because, that's a series they could have lost with that game 2, just how it went it in, extras, both having opportunities and extras, and just nail batter back and forth. But really impressed, I think, with, Auburn to be able to, clutch up and come out there with a win. But I mean, game 3, I was getting shut out in game 3 kind of sucks, to be honest with you. But I mean, you'll take the series win for sure.
Yeah, it's a sour taste in your mouth. But like you mentioned, you go on the road in the SEC, you take a series. I thought it was big, to your point as well. Auburn's going to have a really big opportunity, like we mentioned, Harrison, just for whatever reason, sort of flying under the radar. They go to Georgia this weekend.
Yeah.
You go take 2 or 3 from the Dogs, people are going to start paying attention. And then the next weekend, they've got the Iron Bowl on the diamond. Yes, which will be a lot.
And then after that, they got LSU. And then after that, at Texas.
Yeah, the real – the real gauntlet begins. I mean, obviously, Vandy was high-quality competition at home, going to Kentucky. Now it's about to start getting really real. We're going to find out who Auburn is over the next few weekends. But really good start. The return of Ike Irish, I think, is big. We obviously know what Cooper McMurray is. You mentioned Sam Dutton on Fridays. I like this Auburn team. I like this Auburn team a lot.
Yeah, I mean, who was – I think Ike Irish and Derek Fabian were the only ones that had a hit in game 3. Obviously, because they only had 2 hits and got shut out. But I mean, huge day for Ike Irish to see just him be able to do that and be back from his injury, and then Cade Ballou, he looked good in game 2 as well. I mean, you had I think all but 3 guys have a hit in game 2. I mean, they had 14 hits. Kentucky out hit them, in 2 of the 3 games. So, I mean, that's going to be, I think, more of a bitter taste in Kentucky's mouth losing that second game than Auburn getting shut out in game 3.
Yeah, it is a game of razor-thin margins that can either lead to a series victory or series defeat. Harrison, let's go to Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Arkansas Razorbacks, they swept South Carolina, and I think the biggest takeaway here, Harrison, the bats coming alive for the Hogs should terrify the rest of this conference. You and I mentioned it in preseason. If this team's just even average hitting, if they're middle of the pack in the SEC, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. The way they're swinging it right now, and the bounce back for their rotation this weekend as well, the rotation looked great. Pitching staff looked great. I think they really feasted on a South Carolina lineup that you and I talked about is just deficient of big-time SEC hitters. Let's just call it for what it is. But what the lineup is doing is exciting. And Harrison, I want to mention this. I want to ask you this first. Have you ever in your life heard of anything like this? I mean, I think even South Carolina fans would agree. The chicken curse. This is peak chicken curse. The chicken curse is alive and well. Sunday starter Dylan Eskew, in case y'all missed this, Sunday starter Dylan Eskew was scratched from his Sunday start. Well, why, you may ask? Because Saturday, a home run ball, add insult to injury, it's a home run ball, is hit into the bullpen. It hits him in the head, and he is forced to enter concussion protocol. I mean, that is like, how terrible is your luck to have that happen? Scratch from a Sunday start. Have you ever heard of anything in your life so absurd as that?
No. I mean, and it was in batting practice too.
Yeah. I mean,
I hate
keep
that.
Your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel.
I hope he's okay, but that's just that. I don't even know if that's bad luck. That's just I don't know what that is, but just the odds, unbelievable of that happening, and just in a situation in which South Carolina can't afford that.
No.
He's their best starter. And I mean, you still have him on Sunday, which that's a whole nother discussion that I still don't understand. But I mean, talk about a dagger of just, a blow for a team that's playing on the road. I mean, God.
I don't know, Harrison, how much difference it would have made because Arkansas put belt to ass all weekend. I do agree with you, though. The whole, maybe it's time to go away from the whole Brandon Stone thing. I know he threw well against Clemson, but, against Oklahoma, he gets shelled in the first inning, and that put him behind the 8 ball. And then this one, I mean, that game fell over before it even got going, really. I mean, before you got sat down and got yourself a beer and some popcorn and a hot dog, that game felt like it was pretty much donezo. They run rule you in game 1. Yeah, dominating weekend from Arkansas. And Harrison, I kind of say expected struggles for South Carolina. You and I talked about it. I think that lineup's going to get eaten alive all season long. They just don't have a lot of high quality bats. And
they did get to Gabe Gakel in game 2, though. They knocked him out before the second inning, put 3 runs on him. No walk. I mean, he had 3 walks, no K, so that doesn't help, obviously. But I mean, Gabe Gakel's had his share of struggles for sure this season. But
yeah, he's been very up and down.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very, opposite starts, it feels like. But when you have, a bullpen like they do with, Will McIntyre, who got his first save in game 2, and you have guys, that can, other pieces in the bullpen that can, pitch at a high level, like Fauch, who's still there, Wiggins and Coyle picked up the win, going 2 shutout innings in game 3. And you have, Zach Root, who has a bounce back start again, and Landon Beocheese, who has gives you a quality start in game 3. You can have those kind of blunders or just, spot bad starts because the offense is just so electric. But I will say, I mean, Arkansas did get to James McCoy too. South Carolina's probably best starter with Dylan Eskew.
That's what I'm saying. The way they're swinging it, Harrison.
They knocked him out of the first inning. 4 runs, 8 hits. I mean, he only had 1 walk. It was just hits and just loud hits. I mean, but to go on the road in Fayetteville in Arkansas, Chris, is not easy to do, especially with a team that doesn't have depth and doesn't have, strength on the mound and consistency on the mound. So I think it just played more to this is kind of what you and I both anticipated and Jake anticipated too to happen. But to lose, your starter on Sunday like that, just absolute dagger. Just kick them while they're down. I mean, it's just it's frustrating because South Carolina just how the trajectory of the program's gone the past 10 years and just I think it's part of that, but also part of everyone in the SEC and everyone in the SEC rising up, the tides rising up around the SEC. I mean, Oklahoma and Texas now in the SEC, both at the top of the SEC, right? I think it's just that much harder. And, how long do you have the experiment and, whatnot you want to call it with Palmineri last? I'm not saying fire Palmineri. I'm not. I'm just saying, what does length look like on that?
Yeah, a good
Because
buddy
Ray
of mine
Tanner hired him.
Yeah, a good buddy of mine said a few days ago, Harrison, after game one, that the Palmineri hire already feels kind of sad. I mean, I think to your point, nobody thought it was a long-term hire, right? You kind of, I think, did that just to bring a shot of national relevancy back to the program. And I mean, I said it. The problem is I just don't think they have the dudes. I don't think it's even a Palmineri thing. But that, admittedly, that hiring to me felt weird from the jump, Harrison. It just didn't feel like it made a lot of sense. And even hearing him, when he speaks on TV or press conference or whatever, and seeing him out there in the uniform, it still feels weird to me. It's just this just doesn't feel right. I don't know. It just, I don't know if
all the players, like you said with Early, everyone wanted Early as the head coach. Everyone in South Carolina wanted Monty Lee as the head coach. Coming over from Clemson, then being their assistant coach, and now wanting him to be a head coach, and then they don't hire him as the head coach.
Yeah, but the bigger takeaway again, I think, Harrison, is what Arkansas is doing offensively, swinging the bats through 2 SEC weekends, because they did it at Ole Miss. I know that, again, you expect them to beat South Carolina, but the way they did it and the way they're swinging it, that's got me really fired up about the Hogs.
I think a big piece of that we, that kind of burst on the scene, and everyone saw in full display this weekend, was the sophomore Canadian, the transfer for Arkansas, the Florida Gulf Coast transfer last year, Charles Davalon, who went on a tear this weekend. I mean, talk about with the Aloy brothers and, Havflick and everyone else, Iredale that they had in the lineup, and Koziel. I mean, he had a double and an RBI in game 1. He had, a home run and 2 RBIs in game 2. I think he had a home run in game 3 and another RBI. I mean, it's just he had a loud weekend at the top of the order. I mean, just on multiple times every game, mashing the baseball. He's seen it really well. And that's, just another piece of depth that Arkansas has in the lineup when he's swinging. I mean, the Canadian feels comfortable in that leadoff spot in Fayetteville. And I mean, it's only going to make this lineup scary to face.
Yeah, and that type of offensive attack, Harrison, again, it's one of the things that I thought the lineup was going to be better this season. It was one of the reasons I picked them to win the SEC. Long way to go, but it's a really good sign. This is a really, really good sign if you're, winning the SEC, we'll see. But the aspirations of trying to get back to Omaha, you got the offensive piece. That's really big. Again, really, really good sign for them. Harrison, finally, let's go to Columbia, Missouri, Taylor Stadium. Ole Miss gets the road sweep. I'm having to eat crow here, Harrison, because I said I thought Mizzou would win a game. Sure enough, they did not. Ole Miss.
It felt like they should have. They were in every game, it felt like,
dude,
for the most part.
Ole Miss wins all 3, but what a weird series. The Rebels' offense explodes. They score 40 runs in 3 games, but the flip side, their staff really struggled. I mean, I think Hunter Elliott gives up, 4 or 5 earned? Riley Maddox got shelled by Mizzou.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, Ole Miss, they go into, we talked about kind of a stranger place to play because it's not going to be packed out, sold out. It's not like a big venue. You've been there.
Hey, the Taylor's a nice, small, little quaint venue.
Indeed. But again, Ole Miss, you take care of your business. You never take a road series win, especially a road sweep, for granted. So Ole Miss gets it done. And then I ask you, Harrison, over under 3.5 SEC wins for Mizzou at this point.
I'm going to say over. I'm still at 4.
Okay.
I
think 3.5 is the right number, though.
How good this pitching staff is. I mean, for Ole Miss with Hunter Elliott, I mean, he got touched around a little bit. I mean, I don't want to say a bad start. He went 4 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 7 Ks, 2 walks. But like you said, Riley Maddox got shelled. 2 1/3, 7 hits, 7 earned, one strikeout, one walk.
That was Arlington Riley Maddox that I saw on opening weekend. That was that version.
Not getting ahead of guys, got like stuff in the zone that they're taking care of, and that Missouri's putting back the ball on, and finding holes and just getting on base. And I mean, that final score, Chris, was 17-10. Hopefully, you bet the over if you bet on that game. But I mean, to give up 10 runs to Missouri, I mean, against a good pitching team in Ole Miss, and a very solid lineup in Ole Miss, too, a very good lineup, I think. And you have guys for Ole Miss that you got I think 6 home runs there were. You had Sanford, Humphreys had a series. I'm talking about a series. I think he had double-digit RBIs the entire series. He had 4, and he had 2 home runs in game 2. 4 RBIs in that game. Furness had a home run. Helflick had an RBI. Judd Odermark had a home run. I mean, you had to have that many when you score 17 runs. But I mean, then you score 14 in game 3. But I mean, Mason Nichols got touched up too. 5 innings, and he's been a really good starter for them in a Sunday role. 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned, and it wasn't the walks. He didn't have any walks. He had 5 strikeouts. It was just giving up 2 home runs and a double, and just timely hitting for Missouri. So that was a cause for concern for me. And yeah, you win the series, but I think Ole Miss fans are sweating. It's like, that was just a stressful series that shouldn't have been. And 2 of our starters getting really touched up, and then the bullpen kind of having to somewhat salvage some things and we have to outslug them, which I don't think anyone expected going into the series. We got to outslug Missouri because our pitching is going to struggle. But I think you learn. I want to say you learn more about both teams, not one more than the other. I think what you learn about Missouri is you learn that they're kind of scratchy and just that pest that's going to be around and stick around and give you a run for your money at times, or just pop up and and kind of implode one of your starters. But then Ole Miss, having to outslug some people, and outslug some teams, and just have multiple guys step up, and then the bullpen kind of limits some damage as much as possible. So you learn more about Ole Miss in a negative sense, I guess, but then more about Missouri in a positive sense. But I still think just a exhale of a series for Ole Miss as a sweep, which is just wild to think and say.
Yeah, again, the bottom line is this: it was ugly, it was sloppy, but you do get the series sweep on the road. You'll take it. Harrison, I'm going to go under 3.5. I think 3. I think Mizzou goes 3-27. I got no reason to believe they'll go over. I think 3.5 is the right number, though. I think it's 3 or 4. If you gave me over to 4.5, I'm going under. I think it's 3 or 4. SEC
What's crazy, Chris, in 2023, they were 10-20 in conference. In 30-24 overall, Missouri.
Yeah, 10 SEC wins feels like a pipe dream for them at this point.
Jake and I were talking about it. Was it last night? I mean, even in 2019, they were 34-22, and I think it was 2019. They lost to number 10 Arkansas. They lost to 20 Ole Miss. They split. They lost, win, tie. Split a series with A&M, number 11. You take the series from Kentucky. You take 2 or 3 from number 8 LSU. You get swept by number 6 Georgia. You take the series from South Carolina. You take the series from Tennessee, number 23 Tennessee. You lose the series versus number 2 Vanderbilt. I mean, it was just Missouri's program has been all over the place, I feel like. But, I mean, 4 wins, it's got to be possible. I mean, they had 9 last year, Chris. They were 9-21 in conference last year. It's ridiculous.
Long season ahead. Maybe it is possible. We'll see. But again, bottom line, Ole Miss, big road series sweep, and now they will welcome the Florida Gators to Oxford. The journey continues, and it only gets tougher.
Guess who Missouri plays now? Texas at home.
So Texas goes to Como.
Yep.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Yep.
We'll see if Mizzou can draw a little bit of a crowd. Harrison, great stuff, man. What a weekend. Conference weekend number 2 officially in the books. We continue to learn so much about these teams, and the road to Omaha continues. We're going to talk about the midweek here really quickly, lock in some predictions, and look over the midweek slate. Before we do, guys, want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. And this bracket season, FanDuel is letting you make the call, because right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to bet on everything, from clutch shots to last-second heartbreaks, and even who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join, there's no better time. There's tourney action almost every day, and FanDuel has amazing bet types like spreads, totals, game props, and so much more. And guys, you've probably seen myself, Dave Shoemate, we're locking in our predictions, our bets, if you will, every single day to run March Madness. tail us, fade us, which you absolutely should be fading us if you want to get rich. Do whatever you want to do, though. Just make sure you visit FanDuel.com/SECU and get in on the college hoops action all tourney long. Must be 21 and up and present in select states, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online, real money wager only, $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Harrison, let's talk the midweek slate. Just one day of midweek games, Harrison. All the games this week or on Tuesday. Everybody's got Wednesday off as long as we don't have any rainouts or delays or whatever. All the games on Tuesday, so it's a jam-packed slate. Everyone is in action, Harrison. The top games, easily the ones that stand out. How about you got Florida State in Jacksonville? So they play a 3-game set throughout the season. One game will be in Tallahassee, one game in Jax, and one game in Gainesville. This is the neutral site game in Jacksonville at the Jumbo Shrimp Stadium, where I was about a month or so ago for that tournament. So that'll be a lot of fun. The rivalry renewed, obviously. Florida State looking for revenge. Florida looking to win the season series already. South Carolina, North Carolina in Charlotte at the Knight Stadium, the minor league ballpark there, one of the most gorgeous ballparks in all of minor league baseball.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one with the skyline in the background. Harrison, you've also got LSU and Louisiana. That's a fun little in-state rivalry. Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, they love to talk shit to LSU, so that'll be a fun one. Mizzou at Illinois. That's a really interesting road trip. And Kentucky hosting Xavier. Xavier's crazy non-conference schedule continues. And, of course, Harrison, I pose the question every week, who should be on upset alert? Well, I mean, listen, Texas A&M, their midweek schedule at this point is really noticeable or really notable. They will host Houston Christian on Tuesday night.
A good team, good mid-major.
Yeah, really good mid-major. Your thoughts, Harrison, on the midweek slate and just what jumps out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to skip over Florida State because that's the obvious one and just I think the cream of the crop for this. I'm going to say I'll give you 2 in an honorable mention. North Carolina, South Carolina. Just kind of the battle of, the Carolinas and just 2 struggling programs right now, especially North Carolina, the anticipation they had coming into preseason. They're below 500 in conference play in the ACC, a very tough conference that's had a lot of, like, Virginia's fallen out of top 25 too, and they were a preseason top 5 team. So they've had, that's the ACC's version of Texas A&M for the SEC, but that's going to be an interesting series at Charlotte, the Truist Field. That's going to be really cool. I've been there. Awesome ballpark, beautiful ballpark. If you're near there, absolutely go to it. One of the best skylines as well, and they do a lot of great events around that. I think Oklahoma Oral Roberts would be really interesting as well.
At Oral Roberts. Yeah,
at Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
Just with how the up and down and just the emotional roller coaster that the series was for Oklahoma, playing a solid mid-major in Oral Roberts. And then my honorable mention, because you already did Houston Christian, Texas A&M. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm keeping Missouri, Illinois, just because that's a separate. I think that's gonna be a tough one, anyways. But I'm gonna say Auburn, South Al. I just think the in-state kind of rivalry of that
in Montgomery.
Montgomery. So that and it just.
And we just saw South Al give Alabama a tough game.
Exactly. And then you come off a high, series win when you should have swept after getting, shut out in game 3 at Kentucky. You're gonna face, a struggling, South Alabama team who's played very high level baseball. I think that's another one to keep an eye on.
Texas hosting Sam Houston State. Harrison also kind of interesting. Sam Houston State's nowhere near what we thought they were going to be this season. They're 7-17 overall, but still kind of an interesting midweek. Mississippi State, Samford, a little bit interesting there. Ole Miss, Memphis. Memphis is a notable opponent just from name alone. Again, they are 11-12 overall to this point. Maybe Vandy, Eastern Kentucky. Those games tend to be close with them, Vandy and Eastern Kentucky. I know they've had.
I do have a question for you, Pose. What happens first? Tennessee drops another midweek or Missouri wins a conference game?
That's a great question.
I found the match.
I'm gonna go Missouri winning a conference game because I don't know if Tennessee loses a midweek. To be honest, another one.
I would agree, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know that they lose another midweek. To be honest, so no, it's a jam-packed midweek slate. I think it's an important midweek slate for some. Teams like Florida, South Carolina, A&M looking for things to feel good about. Midweeks do matter here, and winning them also matters. Building momentum matters. Mississippi State, same thing, Harrison. I mean, again, you can't lose to Samford at the dude. Midweek losses start to pile up. You think things are bad for Chris Lemonis right now. You lose one like that. LSU's another one. They're looking to bounce back. Louisiana, that is a difficult team. And that rivalry, they I don't know if you see it on social media, Harrison, but they do not like each other. So that'll be a fun one also. I'm going to be keeping my eye on that game in Baton Rouge at Alex Box. But Harrison, outside of that, any closing thoughts, closing remarks, thoughts on the midweek, thoughts on what we saw over the weekend?
I think we saw just a ton of high-level baseball, a ton of high-level hitting across the SEC, high-level pitching, especially from, Friday guys and especially young guys, freshmen, more so than sophomores, but freshmen just looking composed in the SEC, which is really impressive to see, and, going out there and executing. And then you see teams go on the road and either winning big road series or home teams losing game one and then fighting back in winning game 2 and 3. Really impressed with those things. Those qualities are things that I think, really harden and shape and form teams throughout the season down the road, especially when postseason comes, because anything can happen in the postseason. But, we're going to enjoy the SEC regular season as much as we can. Can't wait to get back out on the road with you, Chris. And, our first game together this season, we won't know where, don't know when, but we're going to know soon enough. And I know we'll be excited for that for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited to get back on the road as the month of April creeps up on us. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you stay tuned for us. The Windup will return on Thursday, of course. Y'all know the drill at this point. Every Monday, Thursday, and then Friday night spikes every Friday night. We are having an absolute blast chopping it up with you all. We appreciate you all. Nearly 1,000 of you tuned in just live. I know many of you will be tuned in after the fact, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I do want to highlight as well those on YouTube. I've heard your calls. We're going to be doing it for every show. I will be putting chapters on the YouTube show. So if you're listening via YouTube, you want to skip ahead of different parts, I'm going to make sure we have chapters on there so you know exactly where to go so you can get right to what you want to hear about your favorite teams when you want them. So again, guys, we'll scroll through. Harrison, let's go through a few questions here. We have at least a ton of comments.
I'm going to throw this one up there to start.
Yeah, go ahead. Wouldn't be a bad hire. Maybe
I said South Carolina should hire him. I said they should, go after him. And Wes May, Oklahoma logo, thinks the same thing.
Josh Elander, a really hot name.
One of the best.
You may think for him though, he may be like, man, I'm in a great situation. Like, why?
Honestly,
I'm with arguably the best coach in the country. Like, why would I want to leave? I mean, you never know. Not everybody has the same goals, aspirations. Not everybody wants to be a head coach. David Speaks says, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's his name? Kevin, the assistant coach at Virginia under Brian O'Connor. I think he'd be a great hire for head coach, but I think he seems comfortable there. Why not?
Yeah. Not everybody. I mean, some guys, it's you'd rather just stick in. You're in a good situation. I don't blame you. David Speaks says it's Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia are the top 3. Arkansas and LSU behind them. Interesting.
Tough to put Arkansas behind them.
Our power rankings will drop here in the next 24 hours, probably 24 to 48. Yeah, you guys will know exactly where we think they land. It'll be highly debatable this week. That is for sure. It'll be highly debatable. Harrison, by the way, there's already been a screenshot of me holding up the "Them Dogs Are Hell" hat. So we got that going for us, all the Georgia folks. We appreciate y'all tuning in. And,
not many of them in the comments, though. A little surprised.
Yeah, giving it to us. Also, our guy, Micah, tuned in to the show today. Micah Butel, just means less.
Just means less. Hey, one year anniversary for him.
He said, happy 1 year. He says, long-time listener, first-time caller, it just means more. New drinking game, take a shot every time Harrison says punchy. So
I'm fine with that. I think it's cool. It's cool to say strikeout.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like punchy. Daniel Gregory.
Mike and get him hammered.
Yeah, indeed. Daniel Gregory, go Big Orange. Hey, no Gavin Kylan, no problem. Put some respect on our name. I think a lot of people respect Tennessee. I don't think that's an issue. So let's see. Mac, the rotation for LSU isn't the problem, even though 2 and 3 are on elite. The problem is the bullpen outside of 2 guys. They definitely need Gavin Guidry back. Yeah, I mean, you lose a guy like Guidry, that's a high impact arm to lose. So
yeah,
very high impact.
Throw this one up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Interesting take. Y'all should do a Sunday night spikes to wrap things up. That's kind of what this show is. That's what the windup is on Monday.
Yeah,
so
it'd be
like
overkill. It would be overkill, no doubt.
Yeah.
You know, it would be overkill. So
I
appreciate the feedback though. Yeah, appreciate the thought. Y'all have any other ideas? We're always open to those. Sorry for your schloss. Very nice.
That was for you.
Chinook, LSU is very multiple offensively. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you. They just ran into a buzzsaw in Texas, man. I think it's more giving Texas the credit
on the road too.
Than something that LSU did or did not do. So, Ethan, Tennessee fans, I assume UT. He's talking about Tennessee because being number 2, overreacting to. I saw some say they should be number 2 in the nation. Oh, excuse me, Texas. No, because after beating LSU, UT, Texas, they should be number 2 in the nation after beating LSU. It is interesting, Harrison. Texas is 7th.
Yeah, but you're trying to. How are you going to jump Arkansas, who just took care of business
the tough part
in a dominant fashion? I don't think you can do that.
That's the tough part.
Hey, I mean, maybe A&M needs a rain out. They need a live chicken.
Something.
Is it a live chicken to take the curse off the glove? I mean, candlesticks, always a good wedding present.
Yeah. No,
one of the best baseball movies ever made.
Yeah. No, that's my favorite. Bull Durham is absolutely my favorite. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Again, we appreciate each every single one of you tuning in. 1,000 of you tuned in live, man. We just can't say thank you enough. We're having a blast doing this, and we appreciate y'all. We're glad you're enjoying it as well. Again, make sure, as always, and look out, by the way, for us on the road. It's coming soon. Really excited to get back to some of these SEC baseball venues. And, man, what a season it's been thus far. We're enjoying every step of the way. We appreciate y'all. Again, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out via podcast. Forget your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Harrison Fant, I'm Chris Phillips. This is The Windup. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you all on Thursday.